What's up, guys? Casey and George with the Golden Bracket Racing YouTube channel. I want to say thanks for looking at our last video. Had a pretty good response to all of that. Just figured we'd go and do another one of these for you guys. Seems like everybody's enjoying it. George, what are we going to talk about today, man?
Hey guys, thanks again. Yeah, all the subscribes and watching that video. And here we go with bracket talk number 2. We definitely got to talk about and kind of give a little bit of time to breathe a little bit, get into the bench racing season. Talking about 2020, how did things go? Kind of give a little recap on a little bit of a difficult type of year for some, but not so difficult for others. And so right off the bat, we just want to get an understanding of what you guys thought about 2020. So what did you think, Casey? 2020 was a little rough in some spots, but pretty good in others.
2020 was rough at the get-go, but as usual, bracket racing perseveres. Remember in what was it, in the .com era, everybody was thinking the world was ending. Then 2008, same deal. 2008, though, did kind of kill bracket racing. And I think we were all having that fresh in our minds. But then 2020, man, 2020, I'm surprised we even had a year to begin with. I think most of us were, but it was not as bad as everybody thought. In fact, this is probably one of the best years bracket racing may have ever had. I mean, what are your thoughts on that deal?
I'm pretty sure I can second that. I'm a computer nut. I'm always in front of a computer. I love to look at Facebook ads. I go through every single bracket racing for sale site you can think of, and what I really noticed was, even though we were in the midst of a pandemic and on the borderline of another recession, I watched a lot of race car parts. A lot of cars, a lot of movement, especially in the bracket racing field. People were still comfortable with, I got to get to the racetrack. This is what I love. I felt the same exact way as you guys did, and was really thrilled to see, with so much unrest and quote unquote pandemic. I'm pretty sure. We may have lost a few entries at some of the big races based off of it because people were scared or a little bit reluctant to be out and about with the coronavirus being pretty strong. So to be able to look through those Facebook sites and still see a lot of movement, moving cars, moving pieces, that felt really good. Bracket racing really flexed its muscle, if you want me to be honest, coming through 2020. It puts us in a real good spot for 2021. I can say that as well. So
it does, absolutely. Definitely. And do you think that has something to do with the fact that for guys like us and like everybody watching, it's kind of like the world kind of hits you heavy on one side, and then you can go to the racetrack and you're amongst all your people, like everybody's buddies there. None of that stuff matters. Politics, religion, all that stuff doesn't necessarily matter per se at the racetrack. Like that's your best friend, no matter who is next to you. If you've never met them before, if you've seen them, known them for 30 years, 40 years, that's your best buddy that's next to you every single time. And it kind of helps us all get through everything together.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. Bracket racing in general, I can't speak for other sports. I know NHRA might do it every now and again where there's a car that's broken. You'll see say a different team come over and say, hey, let me lend you a hand. You guys got to get done in the next 15 minutes. There ain't no chance you're going to make it. Well, bracket racing has always had that, for the lack of better terms, togetherness or a tight-knit family. Even though your buddy pitted next to you isn't family, if he sees you tinkering around with something under your hood, chances are he's going to walk up, tap you on the shoulder, and say, what's going on? And then he's going to proceed to help most of the time. And so that little bit of mold stuck through this season. It's the reason why people go to the racetrack, is because it's a brotherhood almost, is the best way I can put it. It's every man, next man up will help you. The best way I can put it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And man, talking about all that kind of stuff though, can you believe some of these car counts we've been having through 2020?
It was
I mean, I just had that the foot brake frenzy on this side screen here right before we got on this call, and I was in the live chat, and a guy told me that he thought they had 400 cars at a foot brake race. I
jeez.
mean, they had 539 cars at the Door Slammer Nationals door car only race last weekend. I mean, this is crazy. Like, you're not even talking about the guys with all the dragsters. I mean, we all talk about, oh, guys bring like 5 dragsters with them in a trailer, but you can have the biggest stacker you want. You're not going to fit a whole bunch of door cars in
That's
there.
true.
You know?
No, that's true. And yeah, you know, even I think the SFG Million, or wasn't that thing sold out pretty much?
Yeah,
I mean,
as close as it could be. I don't know if
and
he
even
had
the
a cap on
guaranteed.
it.
I think the guaranteed bracket race was
The guaranteed was.
sold out, completely sold out. I think I just
Mhm.
read on the internet Kyle sold out the Bradenton race. So,
Yep.
I mean, people still going drag racing, you know. But when you think about it, and I guess it does make it a little easier that you can spread out at a racetrack. You can spread out,
Mhm.
you know, so you don't have to be all up against the next person next to you. You get a little spread out in the lanes if you want to wear your mask in the lanes. Well, you can probably do that fairly easily without having any trouble. And so I think that helped us. That helps us being that we can spread out. And so that's why I think that's why 2020, in my opinion, thrived. The only maybe down points in the year, in my opinion, were maybe a few lost entries here and there, even though they still sold them out. And then Mother Nature wanted to rain on everybody's parade. It seemed like on some of these, we
Yeah.
had a couple hurricanes come through and really just drop buckets of rain on people. So minus all of that, all in all, 2020 was pretty good to us for a year of bracket racing with a pandemic.
Right, man.
So
What would you say if you had to guess? Well, I guess if you had to pick, not necessarily guess, but if you had to pick the one thing that impressed you more than anything about 2020, what would that be?
hmm. Yeah, just I think the people alone. 2020 was a year of let's stick
Making it
together.
happen.
Let's make it happen. Let's somehow pull through this thing. And in doing that, I really, really have to give kudos to Motormania TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would have done in quarantine or in my house without a avenue to watch some guys really get after it on the racetrack. And so Motormania, I have to be completely thankful to Motormania for that. I think I could watch drag racing, if not every week, every other week, fairly easily with the help of
Mm-hmm.
Motormania. But what about you, man? What do you think? If you had to pick something that was super impressive, I don't care if it's on the track as a driver. I don't care if it's at a track. I don't care if it's Motormania. Whatever you think. What would you say was impressive about 2020?
Man, well, just to step off onto the Motormania side of things, Motormania has made bracket racing important outside of our own minds. You know, I think it's got a lot more people jacked up. I think it's got a lot of sponsors coming in. I think that I think Jag's doing all this stuff. You know, with all this bracket racing stuff. I mean, we all know Jay Coughlin's been involved with bracket racing. He's, in my opinion, one of the best that's ever done it to begin with. And I really don't think if it wasn't for him needing to promote his company that he would have necessarily rather run pro stock than run sportsman racing. I think that's his people, but he has to do the thing. You got to go to work every day. I got to go to work every day, and so does he. And that's his job, you know?
Absolutely.
And yeah. And but anyway, I do want to say thanks to Motormania TV for even allowing us to watch this stuff on TV. And I think that it has allowed bracket racing to have a major resurgence like we remember it in the early 2000s. And now people can see it and they can show their friends, and their friends are like, man, that's cool. Maybe I'll watch that, which makes, you know, the viewership go up, which makes sponsors want to get involved. And number one rule of marketing is if you can get your audience, like it's one thing to say, okay, NFL, I'm going to have, I'm going to have a Jags ad on NFL. Well, maybe, 5% of those people, if you're lucky, really 1% of those people might be involved with race cars. But guess what? Every single person on Motormania that's watching this race, every single one of those people wants to buy your product or something out of your catalog. So that was a little side note, but I would say, going back to the question, if I would say the thing that impressed me the most about 2020, we can't really talk about 2020 without talking about Hunter Patton, can we?
True.
I mean,
True.
This guy probably made more money in splits than most of us will make racing in our entire racing career. This guy had a killer year. It's people kind of in the beginning thought he came out of the woodwork, but at the end of the day, man, people say it's one thing to have a good year, and kill it the entire year. But everybody forgets, man, that, yeah, Hunter Patton had this really good year, but he just won the Fall Fling 500, basically the last race of last year, right?
Right.
I mean, this guy ain't a nobody.
Right.
He's
got
coming
in with an extreme amount of confidence,
Right. And I mean, I don't know if that's attributed to the fact of, I do think there is something to do with he got on a roll early in the year because you could ride that wave, and with all the COVID stuff going on, he got all those hits on the tree whenever a lot of people couldn't because we were all shut down, and maybe there's something to do with that, man. But at the end of the day, man, having that big of a repeat, that's not a fluke going all through. Like I said, it started last year and it still went through this year. And I'm sure if he had a door car, he'd be out here right now too.
True. And like you said, I'll piggyback off of that in a second. And as a matter of fact, the level at which he got going, there was a storm of brewing there last year. Well, that storm dropped a few tornadoes this year because he ripped up some tracks this year in a way that, I mean, to tell you, I don't know how many times I called you on the phone and be like, man, can anybody stop this kid? Can anybody stop Hunter Patton? And so kudos to him, man, for getting it going. I'm being honest with you. And maybe in another segment, we'll have down the line here, YouTube world, drag racing fans, maybe we'll talk about year 2020, who we felt might have been the one to hope you didn't line up in the staging lanes against wrong. Don't pull in versus him, basically. But yeah, man, and I don't know. It's a lot of things going on around here. There's a lot of big tracks putting on these huge races out the South. But I really have been pondering in my mind what would be the number one track for 2021. And it's probably going to be hard for 2021 because most of 2021 schedules are already out. But what track would you want to see have the next huge race? I mean, put it on big as you can go, biggest money you can win.
Man, I know what you're thinking, and I'm thinking the exact same thing. And it isn't even because we grew up there, but we have not lived there for a long time, over a decade at this point, and we still don't. But man, I cannot believe, and I don't know what the reasons are for this. It's got to be a monetary type thing on one end or the other. But
Sure.
Why don't they have one of these like guaranteed millions? Why don't they have one of these at Gateway? I mean, they have the parking. They got that whole circle track to park. They have a national event there, so that they can handle a bracket race. I mean, but it's all the interstates. What is it, like 64, 70, and 40?
All of them
intersect there? Is that right?
All of them intersect right there. All of them.
Yeah. It's easy to get to from everywhere. It's literally the center of the country. The weather is mostly predictable at certain times of the year.
True. Plenty of hotel space. You got your Collinsville. You got casinos. There's 2 of them within 15 minutes for people who want to, after they've left the track for the day or whatever, go and gamble somewhere else at a casino.
Try to get a little money back.
Get a little bit, some buyback change or something. Hopefully pay for the whole weekend, But that's right there at Gateway. It's now Worldwide Technologies Raceway is what it's called, So The Gateway that we know has a new name technically, but it's still Gateway when you think about it. So, but yeah, I would love to see a race there. It's in the middle of everything. You're going to get all the Texas racers, I'm pretty sure, because we ain't but 8 hours away from there. Unless you get further down south, I should say. I'm only 8 hours away. Texas is pretty large, you know what I mean? But
that's what I've heard.
the central location of it is why I'm so gung ho about worldwide technology.
It's straight shot. It's one thing to go a long ways like this. It's another way like that. It's not so bad where you can at least listen to a podcast, maybe listen to Go of Bracket Racing YouTube channel, and
all the way there.
Get on your way.
All the way there. So
man, I cannot believe that they don't have one of these big races at Gateway. Now in their favor, I guess you could say, I don't really know the word I'm looking for, but I did talk to a couple of my buddies that do race there every single weekend, and they actually have a reasonable schedule coming up here pretty soon where I don't know if it's going to be 5 granders or 10 granders, but their regular points races are going to be really similar to Galatz, which are a great deal. I don't know what the entry fee is going to be at Gateway, but I can tell you right now, Galatz regular point races, you're stupid if you don't go there. You're running 2 5-granders in the weekend for $175.
Right, and I can tell you right now, Gateway is going to be happening next year if they get it. It was supposed to go down this year, but 2020 had COVID and Illinois shut down, so they didn't get a chance to get off there. What I think is called the Bracket Bash series, where there's a series of races. There's like 5 5-granders or 7 5-granders and 4 10-granders or something like that. Pretty reasonable entry fee, and I promise I will be. If I win one of them, I'm going to be at all of them, but I will be at least the first one in April. I think it's 10 grand to win each day, so it's 3 10s. It's not just 1 10; it's 3 10s. It's 3. So where I said there's just 7 of them, I think that's 7 scheduled races that'll have 3 10s at each race. So big things going to happen at Worldwide Technologies.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is that a place like Gateway, I just feel like has been severely underutilized for a lot of years, and I feel like Gateway. Now, I mean, big money bracket racing obviously started with the original million. We all know that, but people forget about the fact that Gateway started some of the real big money races with super mega bucks back in the day. I mean, this was the 90s. I think they were running for 50 grand on Saturday, weren't they? I mean, I'm pretty sure Gary Williams won it.
I'm pretty sure everybody was there. I think Gary won it, and I know Troy was there. And you know, there was a lot of big names there. As a matter of fact, I can remember people being parked in that oval or all the way down the end of the racetrack. So as a facility, all of that is asphalt, which is even better. I mean, you're not parking in the grass. I hate mosquitoes. So if you're parking in the grass, you're going to get bit up by mosquitoes. You're going to get some mosquito bites in Illinois, but you're not going to be in the grass to where you're in their habitat. It's all concrete, pavement. So the grandstands are huge. It would be a great place. If you're watching Worldwide Technologies, leadership, membership, management, whoever in the hell makes the decisions, your track is a prime time location for somebody like a guaranteed bracket rate, guaranteed million, and a SFG to come on out and put on a big show. And I'm pretty sure you do it once, you'll do it every year from here on out. So
make it happen. Make it happen. They got Six Flags too, you know.
Six Flags right around the corner in Eureka. So and to make it even better, I know I mentioned all these hotels and things, but Airbnb and I think it's RV rentals they're all there. You're about 20 miles away from being able to rent an RV.
Man. RVs, what were speaking of that? What were you talking about? You're going to well, it might be that race you were just talking about, going up there for the triple tens, and then you're actually renting an RV because you're bringing the whole family, right?
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive my truck and get the race car at my dad's house, and we're going to go over hopefully to the race at Gateway. Illinois is still kind of going through it with COVID, so hopefully all that's over by April. But so I'm going to drive from Texas to go pick up the car, and 20 miles away from the racetrack, there's an RV rental, and for I think it's $540 something for 4 days, and so I'm going to rent an RV instead of a hotel. My dad's got an RV. The whole racing team has them, all of them, all three of them. So I really don't want to be the oddball out. Leaving the racetrack, leaving the racetrack and going to a hotel room when everybody else is there shooting the breeze and barbecuing, eating good. And I want to partake in some of the good festivities.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna rent a motorhome. There's no point in not.
Well, and here's the thing, man. Is speaking of that, I live 29 miles, I think, or 28 miles, something like that, from Galat. And like I said, they run Saturday and Sunday races. Well, I'll go there, and I think this last race I got to the one before last, because the last one was a bunch of weird stuff because it was raining. But anyways, the previous one to that, I got to I think fourth round the first night, which was maybe 10 o'clock or something like that, 11, something like that. I can't remember. And then the next day, they start running again, and there's no time run on the second day. You're just going, so you got to be there. You can't miss it.
Right.
Well, the thing is that 30-minute drive isn't a big deal, but once you start getting about 11 or 12 o'clock and you've been racing all day and you got to be back there tomorrow. I mean, I'm getting home. Maybe I'll get home at midnight, which isn't absolutely terrible, but you get home, you got to make you a snack. So make you a snack, got to take a shower because you've been sweating all day. Take a shower, get in bed. Well, by the time I'm in bed, it might be 1 or 1:30, done woke the dog up, got to let the dog out.
Right.
And get her back in her cage or whatever, and then go to sleep. Well, by the time you go to sleep, I got to get up again at 5 o'clock and refill some fuel jugs just in case I decide to win that next day.
True.
And I only slept 3 hours. I should have just slept in my truck.
Right. And I'm gonna guess that, and we can talk about this on another stream, but NHRA just took on Camping World as a big time sponsor. I guess I sort of get why they would do that. At first, I was kind of miffed that, okay, why are they doing that? But I get it now, especially even if you go into Airbnb, if you have a motorhome and you're not going to the racetrack and you want to make a little extra money, Airbnb your motorhome. If you wanted to do it, you could. Not saying you got to, but somebody might be willing to rent your motorhome if you're next to a racetrack. I'm pretty sure.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure of it.
That's second way to make your money back.
A little bit of entry fee money. You never know. You're not at the racetrack. Well, let's make some entry fee money. $500 for 4 days, and with those big motors, that was just a Class C. Those ones that are bigger than that, you never know how much you can get. Of course, you want to be careful, and insure this and insure that. But regardless of that, where do you think bracket racing is heading for 2021? What do you think, man? A lot of good things going on, especially coming out of professional ranks. What do you think, Casey?
Man, well, number one, Jag, obviously, like we were talking about earlier, he's done this year. I think Little Troy's going to run his car. And Jag's just flat out going bracket racing. I mean, Langdon's been at almost every single one. Top Fuel, Sean Langdon. He's been at almost every big money race you can have. I almost wonder if he's convincing J.R. Todd to get him a bracket car here pretty soon.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think JR's bracket race since juniors. I think he got into pro mods for a while, and then that's how he got into funny cars and all that stuff. But that would be interesting because that guy, man, he's a good talker. He's kind of like Antron Brown. Antron Brown's a really good talker too.
Oh yeah.
But if a guy like J.R. Todd would get involved also, if we could get one more fuel guy involved with bracket racing, I think it's just going to go like that, and Cummings, they announced that they're doing their guaranteed $1 million again. Then Kyle, of course, announced Kyle isn't scared of anything. He's always going to town. He's making a series next year. I've wanted that forever. I mean, I think I was telling you when SFG
Yeah,
first
early
started,
on.
I'm like, man,
Yep.
I hope they make a point series. I hope they
Yep.
make a point series.
And his Black
Everybody, the
Friday deal
same
was
people are there.
his Black Friday deal was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't even saving $900 on Black Friday. That's unheard of. That was
Yeah.
ridiculous. So next year's going to be interesting. Of course, and going back to these drivers too, Top Fuel drivers and things like that. I can't sit here and not mention Spencer Massey because that kid just seems to make his way into some pretty good positions in a bracket car. I know that's his route, that's where he came from, but we have enough of a pro, few ex-pros over with us at the bracket racing world where you're right. If we gain one more big name bracket racer, we're going to gain a whole slew of them. So,
well, and how cool was it to be at the I think it was the Bristol Million where Spencer won a 30 grander, I think it was. And he tells Big Jed when he's interviewing him that that's the big stage, a Top Fuel driver. And I talked to, I didn't talk to him, but I was in the live chat and Jed was announcing it. And I said, Jed, what do you think about Spencer Massey saying this? And Jed went on probably a 10, 15-minute deep during some downtime. I don't know if there was an oil down or we were between rounds or what it was, but it just hit at the right time. And he answered that for 10 or 15 minutes. And it's the gist of it is, can you believe that Spencer Massey, a Top Fuel driver and a successful one at that, would say something like that? And we also got to remember that I'm pretty sure Spencer Massey has won a Super Comp championship, but Sean Langdon, he is, I think, the only back-to-back Super Comp champion. I mean, these guys aren't nobodies. They're not just fuel drivers with a lot of money. Like Sean Langdon is a good racer in his own right.
True. So, yeah, man, definitely looking forward to some big things next year as we begin to close out this episode of Bracket Talk. Definitely want to thank our subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, there's definitely a subscribe button down there below this video here, and hit the little bell for the notifications. You'll be able to understand when Going Bracket Racing is live. Please feel free, leave comments. We definitely will use your comments, and especially if it's a good question that we feel like we can shed a little light on, but definitely looking forward to 2021. And I don't know about you, Casey. I think it's going to be a pretty eventful year, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. This is going to be the year of George, right?
The year of George, man. It got me a nice little S10 sitting over there, and I finally get to do some drag racing more than just one time per year. I'm kind of a one time per year guy right now. Maybe been in a race car maybe 5 or 6 times. I've just been around drag racing my whole life. So where I wasn't necessarily a race car driver, I was definitely part of, or if not the only part of, a 2 or 3 part team. So 2 or 3 car team. So yeah, the year of the George. It's coming to a theater near you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be one of our topics in the future, guys. Maybe right now, I think the George does the same thing I do. His old man's got tons and tons of room at his house, so his truck's at his house. George has got it stored up there right now. They're doing some work to it. I think he's going to mess with it a little bit over Christmas time and probably bring it back home after that. And we'll do kind of the same thing we did with my Nova on that car, and maybe on the dragster on that car. I hope he doesn't have to go through the trials and tribulations I had to go through with the dragster with those electrical issues. They're a nightmare.
I think I'm going K&R right off the bat there, Casey. I'm going to rip all the wiring out of it and put a heavy-duty K&R kit in there right off the bat. One thing I don't want to deal with is holding the trans brake button and my car shutting off for some reason in a big race. So
mine shut off a couple times for various reasons, but it was I was just little side note before we get off here, that if you look back in the videos, I found a problem, and then I found another problem, and I found another problem. Well, the main problem more than anything was the main wire on the MSD wire pulled apart like this.
It was just too easy to do.
And it wasn't done by me. I got to say that. It was done by another guy. But I fixed it. So
yeah,
the new guy is running that at King of the Coast in in Mississippi the other day, and he couldn't be happier with that car. So it must be working now.
It must be. So that's good. That's good to hear that it's in somebody's hands. And so I guess guys, get ready to tune in next Friday. We'll have some more footage out. Still going to hold off on the live stream for a little bit, maybe another week after this one even, to make sure we've got a good time. There's still a lot of guys out there drag racing. Good luck to everybody out there getting at it. And thanks for watching Go on Bracket Racing YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, everyone.